Everyone, we made a stronger and deadlier Indominus Rex, a genetic monster made for war. The original escaped its enclosure in Jurassic World and wreaked havoc across the island. Its terror only ended with combined forces of the T-Rex, Blue the Velociraptor, and the Mosasaurus. That came straight out of nowhere, we might add. Despite its defeat, the impact it left on the series and fandom can't be denied. Goaty Center made their own video over a year ago, showcasing their Indominus 2.0, sparking the hybrid war on YouTube, and the original being the accidental start of the Build-A-Better fake theropod trend back when the movie was released. Now we've decided to throw our hats into the ring, and by the end of this video, you'll see how our Indominus Rex surpasses the movie version. In our humble opinion, of course. Before we start, we want to ask you this question. Do you think our Indominus Rex could take on any of the hybrids from the Jurassic franchise? If so, which ones do you think have the best chance of going up against it? Or do you have any ideas for dinosaur hybrids of your own? Either way, let us know in the comments below. We are genuinely interested. Now, let's get to the meat. Ugh, great, now I'm hungry. Why the hell did I have to do this joke of the situation here? And what better place to begin than with a meat-eating dinosaur discovered back in 2002. Number 1. The Pycnonemosaurus. The dense forest lizard comes to us from Brazil, and it's absolutely nothing to sneeze at. Standing at 10 feet tall, almost 30 feet long, this is called the Brazilian T-Rex by some, and it's not hard to see why, though not much of it has been found. What has points to a strong predator. Unlike the T-Rex's crushing bite, this guy had strong jaws, but with teeth mainly for tearing, ripping, and rending. And his head showed that it had thick scutes acting as a helmet. It's also the bigger cousin of Carnotaurus. Actually, it's the biggest of its family. So, for the base, this is a no-brainer to start. So you may be wondering, how do we start drawing this thing with the Pycnonemosaurus? Well, what we first do is that we give a oval-shaped base to the creature. From the pictures of the Pycnonemosaurs and other theropod dinosaurs, you'll notice that they have a sort of a round, egg-shaped base to the body, at least generally speaking. Well, to start off with, we do a rather heavy, thick-set egg shape right here. And basically what I did is just do that. And if you notice, that's how basically all dinosaur, theropod dinosaur bodies usually start. So that's what I did there. As for the legs, I did a thick shape right here, followed by a cylindrical oval shape for the calf. Then we have a narrowing thing right here. And as for the heel of the foot, we have a ball here, and I have a sort of a circular shape that flattens out for the foot. So there you go. Number 2, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Alright, I know this one looks a little too obvious, but the Rex brings more to our design than you think. The first one is the bulk. These dinosaurs were big and stocky, with many thinking they now can go bigger than previous knowledge says. Today's art shows them as muscly creatures, and absolutely not pushovers. Looking at you, Jurassic. This will be great to our hybrid, because it'll give it loads of muscle. While the movie version looked pretty cool on the whole, it was a victim of what we call shrink wrapping. We understand this was all on purpose by the filmmakers to show just how malnourished it really was, but we want our dino to be in peak condition. Plenty of muscle for our new I-Rex will only mean more positives than negatives, especially when it comes to fighting other dinosaurs and creatures sent to us by other genetic companies. The second are the senses. Rexes had really good eyesight, hearing, and smell, far keener than what the Jurassic World Jurassic Park versions had. Studies have shown that these are as sharp as eagle senses, particularly for the eyes. So yeah, there's no way anyone's avoiding this critter. This means it'll be able to catch prey with little difficulty. with thick pads on their feet for stealth and ambushes. And the big addition of them all comes from the jaws. The skull shows these creatures had powerful bites for tearing food and even crushing bone. The I-Rex's teeth in Jurassic World did help a lot, but with Tyrannosaur jaws and the type of teeth it had, it means it can chomp and crush through bones and tissue like a knife through butter, and help the rending and tearing part of the pycno even more. With these traits, the T-Rex earns its second spot.
So for adding the Tyrannosaurus type qualities to it, to our Pycnonemosaurs, what I did is that I double checked the anatomy of both creatures, and luckily both have pretty thick and wide jaws and head structures. So what I did is that I just, again, double checked the Pycnonemosaurus and basically added a bit more of a Tyrannosaurus type quality to what we have here. So instead of making the thing narrower like a typical Tyrannosaurus would have, I actually went for a more rounder and thicker one. I actually might make this a bit rounder right here. But I started with that. I'll erase this just to show what I mean. Kind of like that. If you look at Pycnonemosaurs, they kind of have this roundish sort of look to their head. Kind of like that. I just wanted to combine that with the traits of a T-Rex here. So that's what I did, and I just sort of added in the jaws here by starting right from up here all the way there, and then doing the jaws because I had this oval pre-planned and drawn, so it sort of acts like a good base. So that's how we do it.
Number 3 and number 4 are meant to be used for the use of arms, and since the Indominus used hers plenty in the movie, we will use the Utahraptor and Achillobator. Not only are these two the biggest of the raptors of the Mesozoic, but both had arms and wrists for grasping prey. These hands were specifically made for grabbing and holding onto prey, assuring they won't get away. It also helps the arms were fairly long too, allowing it to catch and grip if needed. And the long talons and claws used to slash prey, this means we can add gripping abilities to our creature. As for the Achillobator, the above traits were more or less present on it, and both contributors both have strong bites in their own right, with the Achillo having 131 newtons per force per bite, and the Utahraptor had one anywhere from 900 to 1000 psi. So yeah, we don't really need to say anymore.
So how do we draw raptor dinosaur arms onto our large theropod? It's pretty simple actually. What you do is that we start with a large ellipse right here. And then we do something like this. The upper arm is going to be much longer than those of a T-Rex because of the reaching ability that dromaeosaurs require. So we need to keep that in mind. Also, we have to have an elbow here. We have a bowling ball sort of pin for the forearm. And then this will be where the hand and wrist will go. And we'll just put this shovel shape there for the hand for this moment. So that's how we do that. Again, the details can be smoothed out later. But that's why I put a dromaeosaur arm onto this large theropod here. Because we do need it to reach and grasp and fight and grab things.
Okay, so the arms and hands are great and all, but what are they if the claws aren't any good? But one larger dinosaur from another period did have such a weapon. Here comes number 5, Saurophagonax. This creature, now called Allosaurus annex, had the strongest claws in the dinosaur era for grasping and cutting through skin and resisting breaking off. Not only that, paleontologists think their claws are longer than reconstructions even show, meaning they're longer than expected. Again, go watch Goji Center's Indom 2.0 video to see more. So yeah, these are terrifying additions for Indominus. Team, make sure we file that thing's claws once a week. We don't want another On to the next one.
So, how do we put Saurophagonax hands onto our hybrid? Like this. Basically from the circle area from where the wrist is, I basically put in cylindrical shapes like this to act as the fingers, just to get proportioning right. I put in another circle for where the fingers will attach like this. And then I just widen out whenever the claws come out. So I like that. Nothing really to them, you just need to really get you just really need to watch hand proportioning here.
Following the terrible claws, we have the terrible hand. Number 6, Dinokairos. Hailing from Cretaceous Mongolia, this creature has some of the strongest arms of any herbivorous dinosaur, and they have quite a bit of reach too. This means our creature now has arms that can swipe and claw at mid-range distances. If we combine this with the Saurophagonus claws and the raptor's use of theirs, we've got a creature able to fight in close and mid-range. Perfect for a creature that be a combatant that can deal with both.
So, to make the Dinokairos arms as long as they are, we just basically need to keep in mind proportioning, just giving them muscle, basically like this. Keep in mind how they would attach to the body. So yeah, nothing to it. Again, just takes a lot of practice. But, on to the next one.
Number 7. Okay, now for protection. After all, if our IREX gets seriously hurt in battle, it could be out for the count. Luckily, we, borrowed a contributor from Goji Center's list, and we're including it right here. The African dwarf croc. Not only is it close cousin of the dinosaurs, it being an archosaur doll, but it has nearly full body armor. It's not impossible to cut through it, but it would be a tough time for anything and anyone trying to do so.
So, as we're putting African dwarf croc armor, what we basically do is that we basically just make scoops along the side of its body. This basically gives it full body protection. Actually, pretty converse with what our hybrid has here. Just widening out the shoulder a little bit. I chose the dwarf croc because the armor is lightweight, and that's a big deal because most predators don't have armor because it just will slow them down and cause a lot of physical problems while hunting. And theropod dinosaurs are no different. This is why we haven't found many ones that have any degree of armor besides abelisaurs. On the legs here. Armor, it isn't the best armor though. We got one better, so stay tuned. But this is how we basically do the armor for a hybrid. Anyway, on to the next contributor.
Alright, so fighting skills are great, but we need smarts on our side, or else we can't fight, or our creature will be unalived, to say the least. And with that, we turn to one of the smartest creatures on Earth, the chimpanzee. These apes have many talents, but some include intelligence, able to learn tactics, make and use tools, and picking up strategies from others and observing them in the wild. Not only that, these things have strength like you wouldn't believe. Seriously, just Google it. At your risk. This will be important for our new Indominus because it needs to use these traits while fighting, hunting, and learning all the basics all well. And with this, we can also include the chimpanzee's intelligence, enhancing the creature's cranium even further to enable a much larger brain case, which will accommodate a much larger brain. This will allow it to make tools, strategize, communicate with other members of its kind, and other good stuff. On to the drawing.
So, back at the hands again. So how are we going to put a thumb on this guy? Well, we just follow the same basic principles as what we were talking about before. We just create a hand, like our hand, like my hand here. But this is how you basically would make a thumb to the hand. Basically, you start at where the base of the hand is right here, and just keep it in line with the rest of it here. It took me a while to figure this out, but that's how you do it. There we are. That's how you do a chimp hand. And as for the head, we're just going to increase the cranium size just a little bit more, because he's smart. Basically like that. Okay, next one.
Alright, our runner-up is the killer whale. No, wait up. We know. This sounds like another odd one, but again, we have our reasons for choosing this. Firstly, these big cousins of dolphins are known to be bright as well, and are able to learn from their environment and pod members, as well as their trainers in captive situations. This gives them a big advantage over everything else in their environment, teaching them to cooperate at an early age. Also, they can be taught to be friendly to us humans if treated well, like the chimps above. And with these poor guys still in aquariums, being taught how to do certain tricks, this means our creature will hunt in a pack and learn tactics like its water contributor, both from its mates and its human teachers. Secondly, they also have a strong bite, and is ranked one of the most formidable in the animal kingdom today. So adding on to our past editions, this will fit in just fine. Alright, down to the last two.
Now I'm going to be honest with you guys. The killer whale contributor had me stumped design-wise for a while, because I was trying to think, how the heck can I possibly put on a marine mammal onto a hybrid dinosaur that actually made sense? Then I realized I didn't have to make things complicated. What I decided to do is I am going to put a dorsal fin kind of thing along the back region here. Mainly when there's the most muscle support, so that just makes a lot of sense. But also too, we don't necessarily need it to be too big. That's one of my big worries here, is that if I make it too big, I would just make it too impractical for combat. So I basically just made I'm just gonna make this smaller. And we can add some really cool details like the scoots onto here. But yeah, that's how we would add in that right there. And also for the head, we don't need to do anything else. They would probably be hybridized with the brain of the chimp, so we don't need to do any more. So, phew.
Number 10, the Komodo dragon. Okay, again, we have to explain. So you may be wondering, of all the things we could have picked, why use this lizard from Indonesia? Well, several reasons actually. One, these reptiles have teeth literally coated in iron. No, seriously, we aren't making this up. With a thin layer on the pointy ends. Studies have shown that this makes them not only stronger, but they can also cut like a knife, which is saying something because these guys' teeth are already pretty scary, them having serrations and all. 2, these guys have venom glands in their mouth, meaning their bites are dangerously toxic. But as the third reason that seals the deal, they can make babies without having a Mr. Komodo in the mix. Recent findings from zoos show these reptiles can lay eggs without, doing the do with the gents. As a result, our eggs can breed and make more of itself.
Okay, now for the Komodo dragon. Now, as we can see here, this hybrid here is getting pretty packed in terms of detail. A bunch of this detail I may erase later on, just for congruity's sake. But for the Komodo dragon, I applied the same principle as adding in the small dorsal fin here. So what we basically do is just add in the forked tongue. Basically, we do it this way. It's pretty simple to do. So yeah, that's how we do it with the Komodo dragon. Now on to the final contributor.
Now for the X Factor. The pangolin. These peeps have armor plates on their bodies, which are made of the same material your hair and fingernails are. Despite their looks, their scoots are both flexible, light, and near impossible to penetrate or scratch. This complements our crocodile DNA from earlier, and plus these things already walk in a pose like a meat-eating dinosaur. So with all of that, our list of references are complete. Time to get drawing this thing.
Okay, our final contributor is the pangolin, which means I unfortunately will have to erase some of these, so give me a minute. Okay, so if you look at the back here, what pangolin armor really is, it's just having like really thick, flat, almost broken nacho chip kind of shape. That's sort of the best thing I could come up with. So basically I just do like a flat triangular shape here, and I just sort of overlay them on top of each other. We're just going to do it on top of it here. The lower part right here, we already have the alligator scute, so we don't need to clutter things too much. We do want things to be congruous. And we'll do it along the neck here, and we'll also do it a fair bit along the tail. You just do like a flat nacho chip shape like this, but jagged, and just overlap them with each other. It's kind of like making lizard scales, but just making it more armored. So yeah, just let me get to work, and I'll show you the final product.
Now for the stats. Name, Imperadracon Vestadorex nubilarensis, or as we call it, Indominus II. Weight, 7.8 tons. Height, 22 feet. Length, 37 feet. Diet, planting dinosaurs, though some exceptions to the rule have been noticed. Aggression level, fairly high when aggressive, simmering when left alone. Do not approach unless with trained experts. Location, in Atrium B, B3 Incorporated HQ. Specimens 8, for female and for male. Now with our beasts ready, it's time to release it into our enclosures until its first mission arrives. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more monstrous content on dinosaurs, cryptids, sea monsters, and others, smash that subscribe button and hit like. Also, put down what dinosaurs you want us to do next. We're always up for a challenge. And thank you so much for watching. It really does mean the world to us and me that you enjoy our content. And with that, we promise you to bring more quality stuff in the future. I'm Professor BH of B3 Incorporated. Wishing you well until next time.